in or out?
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Tournament Tactics Week 14 NFL edition. We're going to be breaking down the NFL main slate on FanDuel, on DraftKings. Going to talk a little bit of FanDuel, not too much. Sorry for the FanDuel lovers, a little bit, though. We'll get a little bit of that in there. And, of course, breaking it down with me, we have the Dream Team above me here. We've got the Shark Lab himself, author of Winning the $1 Million Game, DraftKings Secrets of the Millie Maker, cracking the code with Burns, the Shark Lab. And down below, the man who's known far and wide as Bobby Millions, multi-time Millie Maker winner, a person who I often reference with the phrase, what would BobbyWow do? I use it in life, not just for DFS, in life. Like, I'll just be out and about sometimes, somebody honking at me from behind, kind of road raging, and I'm like, should I get involved? And then I think, what would BobbyWow do? And I'm like, BobbyWow, you know what he would do? Wave nicely, go on ahead, sir. You seem to be in a rush. And I take a breath in, I blow the breath out, and that saves me from an uncomfortable interaction.
I'm honored.
Thank you, Bobby, for that. Thank you.
I appreciate
that.
Cheers
you don't
to
even
you.
know.
My peppermint mocha.
Oh, see, that's where you don't want to ask what would BobbyWow do at the Starbies. What would BobbyWow do? Peppermint mocha? No. All right. Nothing with the flavor of peppermint is good. Let me be very clear on this. Nothing. As a matter of fact, Crumble Cookie got a fucking cookie on their thing, and it's like candy cane flavor, and it just looks repulsive.
Even
this
the Girl
was not
Scout
going
cookies?
to Crumble this week.
The Thin Mints?
No,
You don't like
disgusting.
Thin Mints?
Absolutely
Wow.
not. No.
Ooh.
No Thin Mints, nothing with a mint taste at all. If it's not gum and you don't have a sore throat, you shouldn't be messing around with anything minty. That's just real. That's fact.
Sure.
That's fact. Anyway, where were we? Oh, yeah. NFL Week 14. We're breaking it down. We got the tournament tactics for you guys. How are we going to win tournaments on FanDuel and DraftKings this week? And by the way, so much news was breaking. Everybody's like, why are you guys starting late? We're sorting through news that is popping like crazy. So I'm going to present a couple of things that just really came up minutes ago. Burns, you're talking about Neighbors. We don't know. He got the hip pointer, got the flexor.
Yeah.
We'll see with him.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the wide receiver spot.
Some running backs. You know, Jets running back Breece Hall at this point, doubtful. Doubtful might as well be out. So we get Braylon Allen chalk at a low price. Thank you very much. I will be eating that. And now, more news. Kenny Walker might not play for Seattle this week, which opens up Charbonnet to, the core play. Core.
You're not going to be able to eat all the chalk, though. There's so many. Garendo.
It will not be chalk. It will not be chalk because there's too many of them. So then now, not only do we get these super bargain running backs on the slate, but they're not going to be that highly owned. That's the best part. I love this week. If this happens,
more owned though.
What's that?
It becomes more owned.
Yeah, Saquon by default because you have bargains, but that's fine too. Listen, Saquon deserves to be highly owned.
I completely agree. But now you can afford him.
Yeah. I do want to make a side note, by the way. There is a place where mint does work, and it is an alcoholic beverage. Julep is fine, but I'm a big fan of a mule.
Yeah.
Well,
okay, there you go.
Yeah, I'm down.
I figured you meant food. I figured that's where you were going.
Foods and coffee. Any flavor in coffee is terrible. Anything. It's not even that. All flavors are terrible. All right, so yeah, we got some bargains. Now that makes it fun, but the flip side, the quarterback position might be a little tricky. There is no like clear cut, I got to play him guy. And your eyes are going to pop out of your head when you see, mojitos. That's what I meant. Mojitos are good. Your eyes will pop out of your head when you see who the chalk is this week.
I just saw it. I almost puked.
I mean, come on. Like, wait, I think we have somebody in the Yeah. I mean, it's just bananas, right? So, Will Levis, the chalk in NFL Week 14. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Some bad chalk. There's other cheapies that are kind of coming in chalky too. Aiden O'Connell's up there.
When has he had a good game?
Never.
I mean, it is the Bucks. Everybody plays well against the Bucks. You know, it's a matchup based thing, and I get it. Actually, wait. No, AOC is
Yeah, you're right.
it is the Bucks. And who the hell's Levis?
AOC and the Bucks.
The Jags. Yeah. So some of these teams that
They're putrid teams that they're playing against.
yeah, there's reason for the chalkiness, but still it's interesting. And the other one, my sneaky one, if you need to pick a turd, but now it's not looking too good if Neighbors is out, but I was thinking maybe Drew Lock. If you know,
Yeah, he's always fun. I mean, always fun to throw a couple straight because he runs too, right? He'll use his legs a little bit.
A little bit. He's basically a turd. I mean, he looked terrible last week. I just think maybe with another week of practice, he can get a little better. And listen, this is a bit much to say AOC tore up the Chiefs, but I think that speaks more.
I'm talking fantasy score. I want to see the fantasy scores.
Yeah. So with that, what's that?
He did have a really good game against the Chiefs. I will say that. I meant outside of the last game he played, but he did look good.
He didn't look that bad. And by the way, it's more like who doesn't look good against the Bucs, which is fair. That's fair. So let's start with QB position. By the way, everybody's asking where Josiah is. I have no idea. I don't know.
Must be running late on a date or something.
He just texted. He's out for a night because he's doing a work function.
Oh, that's lame. Oh, that's right. We knew that though. Josiah's got the lampshade on his head right now. He's just running around. You ever drink too much at an office party? You should never drink too much at the office party. Don't be that person. Not with your work people. Nope. Sober, stone sober at the office party. Have fun after. Don't be that guy. Josiah, don't be that guy, bro. I'm sold on Jameson. Yes, please. What's up, King Mana? Jammo. We're jamming. You know, I wanted to play Bob Marley's We're Jammin' for Jammo. And I was just going to play the whole song and make people listen to the whole thing. And then it turns out that YouTube doesn't allow it. You know, it's apparently it's copyrighted. But how nice would it have been if I was just dancing? I might still do it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. We're jamming. So let's talk about the quarterback position, guys. So NFL Week 14, one of the things is like, it's not very easy to pick one. Every game is basically the same total. Everything is 45 points. Okay. So we have a lot to choose from. I think that actually creates a pretty fun week for us because you don't have to, I mean, if the chalk is going to be Will Levis, then we can really find an edge here. So let's start going through this QB position. And Burns, I'll start with you here. You know, we have some high end. There's really only two expensive quarterbacks on the slate, and they are miles above the rest. You've got Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. With Jalen Hurts, I mean, this is the Saquon Barkley game, but you never know when Hurts can do his thing and just get crazy. And then Josh Allen, sure, why not? Josh Allen's been great all year, but you do have to pay for it. What do you think of? Are you on any of these guys? I know that the Shark Lab rarely likes to pay up for quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'm not so much on Josh Allen this week as I am on Jalen Hurts. If you look at the props projection here, and I know we're only in Friday, so this is going to change, but the props projection is actually over top of our median projection within our domination station. But not only that's just one indicator, but one of the indicators that I really like about him is that Carolina is not a good defense. They're not a good defense against anything. When it comes to anything,
they're the worst defense.
Yeah.
Very, very specific. They're the absolute worst defense in the NFL, or have been thus far.
Absolutely. And they're the 32nd ranked against the running back position. So a lot of people are going to go right to Saquon Barkley, but Saquon Barkley's $9,000 on DraftKings. That's a lot. We haven't seen a 9K guy since CMC was in and around 9K.
CMC got to 11K.
Yeah, I mean it's been a minute since we've seen a 9K running back, but he's got to get a minimum of 36, 4x. So 5x, we're looking at 45. Yes, he can get there, but man, I'm telling you, I like Jalen Hurts in this game. I know Statsational model is projecting 232 yards on the ground in this game for rushing. But Jalen Hurts can do it, man. This is where Saquon Barkley fails to meet value. I'm not saying he fails overall. I'm saying he fails to meet tournament value to win you the $1 million Millie Maker. Is where Jalen Hurts rushes it in for two rushing touchdowns via his legs, throws for another 1 or 2, and Saquon Barkley just doesn't get in the end zone, or he gets in the end zone once. And so this is kind of how this is his path to failure. He's not going to fail like in terms of yardage, etc., but he could fail from a touchdown perspective. Jalen Hurts could rush it in. I really like A.J. Brown in this game. I think A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts as a pairing off of Saquon Barkley could actually get it done, because I think Saquon Barkley, now that we're starting to get significant running back value starting to pop up with all these injuries, it's going to force people to play Saquon Barkley, and I think his ownership's going to it's going to go up. And I think what's going to happen is that Jalen Hurts' ownership, where it is right now, it's going to remain, if not just a point or two higher. But guess who's really low owned right now? AJ Brown.
No one's let's be very clear. No one's playing AJ Brown.
And this is where you get the tournament leverage and the millie makers, the play actions on DraftKings.
This is the tournament leverage play, Burns. So what you're describing, I'm going to to clarify it for the people, for the regulars to understand. Saquon Barkley is an awesome play. He's a great play.
Don't get me wrong, he is awesome.
Yeah, it's probably going to smash. And Saquon Barkley has a good, solid, I give him like a 40% shot at actually delivering the 4X on this price, which is about as high of a shot of anybody delivering 4X as you could possibly get outside of our core cheaper running backs that we're going to talk about. But for tournament leverage, much like BobbyWow many years ago, won $1 million fading chalk Lamar Jackson in favor of the running back who was it? Gus Edwards?
It was Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram, in favor. We bring it up a lot because everybody was playing the quarterback in that one, and the running back got 3 touchdowns, and that's why the quarterback didn't smash. Similarly, everybody could play Saquon here and just like a tush push, a throw to AJ Brown just because it's too easy, slinging it, having fun. And much like that game with the Lions a few weeks ago, where they had a smash game against the Jaguars and just everybody crushed it. And it's afterwards, it's yeah, dude, they fucking all scored, right? That, maybe that happens here and creates that scenario where Hurts surprises the world with a smash score good enough for tournaments. So just explanation of the kind of the theory behind what you're saying. It's not Burns is not here saying Barkley's not a good play. He's saying Barkley's an awesome play, but everybody going to play him. What if he doesn't get touchdowns? What if just the variance right now it's Barkley? It's probably minus 220 to score a touchdown in this game. I'm guessing that's the number without looking at it, but okay, that's a 70% shot. What if 30% hits and he doesn't get one? Right. And instead Hurts gets 4 touchdowns somehow. And that's how he smashes. So,
or if he gets one and he gets the yardage, but he doesn't get anything else.
Yeah. He just gets in, he throws one to AJ. Right. By the way, AJ Brown's been a disaster.
Yeah.
It's been a disastrous play all season. He has not once made value or even come close to it on the year based on his current salary level. So there's that. BobbyWow, any interest in these pay up options at QB?
Yeah, I think you have to be. I mean, you talked about Hurts. I think he's perfectly in play. The big concern for me here is the spread. I mean, you're looking at a 14-point spread. The Panthers have been better on offense, but the Eagles defense is tough. So this could be a game where they get out to a big lead. Maybe the defense scores a touchdown or two, and all of a sudden it's the second half, and Kenneth Gainwell's out there taking snaps, and Saquon's getting some rest. So I do like Allen a little bit in a more competitive matchup indoors. James Cook has been his cap over the last, several weeks. That's bound to change at some point. I do think the Rams can be more effective against the run, which to me elevates Josh Allen a little bit. He's actually rushed a touchdown in the last 3 games, and he's been efficient as a passer too. So I do like Josh Allen. I'll be over the field on him, probably closer to 8 to 10%.
Yeah. I'll just inject my thoughts here. I'm not going to be on Jalen at all. Just not. Because I like a competitive game. I just can't deal with the Panthers offense, but I do like Josh Allen a little bit. I think the Rams can threaten in that game. I think they can score. I think that game has that potential. Josh Allen will do best in a game where he's playing catch up or the other team is putting pressure on him. And I think the Rams are a team that could put pressure on you. And I do not trust James Cook to continue to be a touchdown machine. I think the other plus is Allen's getting some of his weapons back here. We haven't paid attention to the fact, but Khalil Shakir is still there. Amari Cooper seems healthy now. Dalton Kincaid is coming back, I think, this week. And even Keon Coleman might be there. But he's not, whatever. I think if you just had Amari, I actually really like Allen to Cooper stacks, as weird as that sounds. I loves me some Amari. Amari wins you a tournament every once in a while. That's what he's done throughout his career. Yes, he burns you in the other games, but I don't care about those. I just care about the turn he win. So okay. I do like that. Let's slide down the salary scale and get into the heart of the slate. And there's a ton of these guys, and they're all priced similar, and they all have pretty good projections anyway. We've got Baker Mayfield in kind of what might be a really good spot against the Raiders. Raiders sneaky kind of team right now. If they can make a game of this could really go well. Tua against kind of a beaten up Jets team. I'm not really into Purdy, but he's in the mix here. Sam Darnold, Kyler Murray. So there's a ton of these QBs to choose from between kind of the 6,500 and down. So BobbyWow, I'll go to you this time. Give me a couple of your core quarterback plays for this week.
I think for me, it's Tua and Kyler up in this range. If we're going to kind of stay 5,800 through 6,800, the Jets have really struggled against the pass. They've got some really good weapons in the secondary, but they just haven't lived up to the hype this season, and they've allowed some big time explosive games through the air. I know you guys were talking before the show. It sounds like Sauce could be out as well. That elevates Tua even more. But even if not, I still like Tua quite a bit. He's cheap, relative to the 2 high price guys. There's a significant enough of a drop off to make him interesting price wise, and he's super easy to stack. You've got Tyreek Hill, Jonnu Smith, and you sprinkle in some Waddle in there as well. So I do like Tua quite a bit. Achane obviously too would be, someone that you could pair him with. I like Achane a lot. So I'll be pairing both those guys together. I'm not really excited about Baker. I know he's got a good projection. The DS likes him. The field likes him. He just looks slower and he just looks slower from the beginning of the season. And I think Chris Godwin being out has done a lot to harm his, look at the game logs over the last 4 weeks. He's not throwing nearly as many passes, not completing passes, not throwing for touchdowns.
I feel like it might be Bucky just running for touchdowns that's reducing his outlook.
And Bucky White, Sean Tucker's run a touchdown over the last week or two. They are running the football in, and I think, he's been hurt by Godwin being out more than people think. So not as excited about Baker. He just hasn't looked the same. Even against the Panthers team last week, that absolutely stinks. He was just struggling to move the ball down the field. So Kyler's my other guy. I've kind of been on Kyler for a couple weeks now. I think he's got that tournament winning, slate breaking upside that we talk about with his legs. He's got a really cheap stack piece in Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that you could stack those two exclusively together and, run out 5 or 10 lineups with those guys and call it a day in MME. But I just think the upside, compared with everyone else on the slate, given his price is as high as anyone for Kyler. So I'm not liking the chalk. I didn't think he was going to be close to 10% ownership. That changes things a little bit, but I do think Kyler could be in store for a big day.
Kyler, yeah, interestingly high owned there. I'm looking at this group. I think a couple of the standouts, especially if we're in this mid range. It's hard to play Darnold. He doesn't have much of a ceiling.
He's cash. Playing cash. Darnold.
Yeah, he doesn't have much of a ceiling, so he's really very much a cash play. I'm not into Brock Purdy here against Chicago at all, and I'm just not going to chase Russell Wilson. I actually think the better side of that game is Jamma, so I'm not going to be chasing what Russell Wilson did last week. Really, this zone, I did like Baker a little bit. I do think that game has potential to be close, and the Raiders are really bad versus tight ends, so I can bust out with Kate Otten again. Mike Evans is there, so I think that those double stacks with Baker are pretty comfortable, and he projects pretty well. But yeah, if you look at the numbers and just go by the prop based projection, Kyler does stand out as one of the better ones in this range. But we know he's got a pretty big range of outcomes. Burns, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, Tua Tagovailoa, we were talking about earlier. I was starting to get on him later, and then I have yet to add him to my cheat sheet, but he's been added since. I do like him a lot. Sauce Gardner potentially leaning towards out in this game is going to be a massive deal. He's a big-time corner, and most times they actually scheme against away from him. Tyreek Hill becomes an awesome play in this game. He was supposed to line up on the opposite field with Sauce Gardner covering him. So this is an awesome matchup now for Tyreek Hill, and we could potentially see an explosion game for Tyreek in this game. I'm not really in the same boat as Bobby is with HN. I think this is a bad game for HN. I think with the Jets, they're very strong up front. And they actually do a very good job with run stuffing and stop gapping on the runs, where HN actually will do most of his work. If he does actually do work, it's going to be through the passing. So if you do want to roster HN, it's because he's going to be heavily involved in the passing situations.
HN's way too close in price to Barkley and Kamara to have much interest in him this week.
But we'll get more on that. I really do like Tua this week, and I really like him paired exclusively with Tyreek Hill.
You guys are going to force me to add Tua to my QB pool that he was not in.
Yeah,
previous to this.
Baker's in my cheat sheet. I think Baker, could have a good game. One of the things that is trending right now, and I'm still trying to figure out if he's going to play or not, is actually Bucky Irvin. He may actually not play in this game. And so where this is going to put me on in the Tampa Bay game is it's going to put me squarely right on Rachaad White. I think Rachaad White actually is one of the best plays on the entire slate if Bucky Irving is out. It gets you off of some supreme chalk at the running back position that we're going to talk about later.
It's just going to add to that. It doesn't even get you off of it. It's just like one more to divide and conquer with. I love it. I'll take that too.
And then, I actually do have some interest. I do have interest in Sam Darnold this week. I just don't think Atlanta is that type of defense that's going to stop anything over the top. AJ Terrell is going to be on JJ this week, and I think that's going to open up TJ Hawkinson, and it's actually going to open up Jordan Addison this week. I had a lot of love on Aaron Jones, AJ, last week. It's a tougher matchup for him. So I'm not as loving that situation, but if you want to go right there with him, by all means. Kyler Murray, I think Kyler Murray is in a very good spot here. We were on him when he went up to Seattle, but now that he's home, I think this is a very good matchup for him at home. And I I like Bobby's call on MHJ, but I think the guy that you have to pair with Kyler Murray this week is Trey McBride. He is 1-to-1 right in line with where Kyler Murray is wanting to throw the ball all the time. I mean, he had 28.6 DraftKings points against Seattle in this same matchup 2 weeks ago, and he had almost equally as top of a production in DraftKings points or fantasy production last week against Minnesota. So this is an awesome play as well as MHJ with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I wrote that about McBride. That kind of thing repeats itself. There's a reason that in that game they were peppering him with passes. Just to answer Savage's question, from the ones we've talked about so far, for me, Tua is a stack with 2 guy. Baker, you want to stack him with 2 as well. And for both of these guys, their running back could be included in that group. Darnold definitely stack with 2, right? He's not running very, very much. I think Murray is a single stack. So of that group, that's kind of how I have it. Murray, I don't need to double stack him. You know, if you're getting there with Kyler Murray, he had to have run for a touch. He has not gotten. There's not been a single occasion that I can remember where Kyler Murray put up like a 25 plus fantasy production off of his arm. He must do it with the legs. Like Kyler Murray's that guy. But these other guys, part of the calculation for if I want to stack a quarterback with 2 is how expensive are the stack pieces that go with him. It's a big reason why, you know, when Devonta Smith was 7,200 and AJ Brown was 7,800, you're just not stacking like a Hurts with 2 of those guys, or why you can't really force that with someone like Matthew Stafford. Both of his wide receivers are so expensive that stack actually winds up being negative, not helping having the double. So yeah, for someone like Stafford, no, I'm not stacking with 2, but it's because they're so expensive. All right, let's move on to now the sort of cheap zone. And there's a lot of chalk here, guys. There's a lot of high owned plays that people are paying down for. I'm gonna throw out some of these names. The aforementioned Matt Stafford's in this group. Caleb Williams. Right. Caleb loves Caleb. Kirk Cousins, revenge narrative. Jammo, we're jamming. Up to wah with Jammo. And then you've got in the sub 5 and 5K and below, Will Levis, chalky, AOC, chalky. I mean, there's ownership everywhere on some of these cheapies. So Burns, I'll go to you here. You know, it's a big group, but we're talking Caleb, who I like Caleb quite a bit, right? Not the best matchup. Who cares? He's Caleb. We got Revenge Cousins. Where are you going this week? Do you like any of these cheaper guys? And you don't have to go through all of them. Just give me your 2 favorites from this group.
Yeah, I mean, Will Levis is on my cheat sheets. It's a matchup thing. It's actually a metrics-based play, if anything. I'll just go into a little bit here. Jacksonville is one of the worst defenses, if not the worst defense, in all spectrum of the defensive scheme, from running and passing. They're going to put pressure on Will Levis, and I have a play later on for this game, but that'll take you off of some chalky pieces in this game. But I do like Will Levis because if you pair him with someone that's not chalky, it actually allows you to take away from that where everybody else is going to play him with a certain player. And if you go with someone else,
player is Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, I mean, most people are going to play him with Calvin Ridley, or they're going to play him with Nick Westbrook Akine. But I have a play that could actually explode this weekend
on that team.
Yeah, and it's kind of why I'm staying with Will Levis. I'm not going to have a lot of ownership in Will Levis. I'll be right around field weight, which is about 10%. And don't get me wrong, he's not a great quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. He's just had a couple of great good weeks this season, the past couple of weeks. But he's $5,000. 4x for him is 20 DraftKings points. Do I see him getting 5x? No. I see him about 3.5 to 4x if he gets to 4x. And that, I mean, he's just cheap. That's all. And he doesn't venture into the 4K zone where I don't go. And he's at home. And he's in, Jacksonville's just a bad defense.
I can't believe this is the highest owned quarter. Like that we're looking, it's Friday afternoon and the highest ownership projection is on Will Levis. This is bananas.
I know it's a weird week for quarterbacks this week.
No, it's great. It's great for us. We fade that shit.
Oh yeah. I'll have a couple of lineups. I'm not going anything more than that.
Yeah. Got another one that you love of the cheapies? Give me two.
I mean, guy, you brought him up. He's not in the greatest spot metrically.
Caleb?
No. I was going to actually go to Jameis Winston.
Oh yes, Jammo.
He's not actually in a great metric-based spot. Pitt is they are extremely good up front. I mean, they are extremely good all-around defense.
Yeah.
Don't fall for JMO. Don't.
It's kind of it's one of those plays where you're like, okay, yeah, I don't know if I should do this or not.
It's so fun. How could you not want to play Jammo?
I don't know.
So easy to stack.
I'd rather play Kirk Cousins, to be quite honest with you, but
that's fair.
We don't have to look very far back to know what Jammo does against the Steelers. Okay, the same team played each other 2 weeks ago.
And who won the game? The Browns.
Are we talking about box scores? Or are we talking about fantasy points?
It was
because Jameis Winston had 0 touchdowns and threw an interception. That's what these games are. These Browns Steelers games.
Yeah, they're ugly. They are ugly. It's really a low ownership. Listen, you're right. He stunk against the Steelers, but they did win. But it was the fantasy gods that were delivering. It wasn't the fantasy.
Really, we're talking about wins. We're talking about DFS, and you're going to talk about the game.
Well, no, because the game flow went a certain way. Winston is at his best when the team is from behind, and he just needs to sling it. They were actually leading, so they played conservative.
They won.
Yeah,
unreal. I guess we'll see.
I'm not going to let a week pass that I don't have some Jameis Winston lineups. I'm telling you, Ryan. I'm telling you up front.
I respect you for that.
It's now. It's week 14. I don't care who they're playing week 17 or 16 or 18. There won't be a week that passes that I don't have some Jammo in my thing. That's it. He's my guy.
No, that's fun.
From the Tampa days, and I've been a fan ever since. So but
from that perspective, I totally fine, and I agree. I'm just metrically like, I don't know how you could.
No, it's not a good spot.
Like him this week.
It's not a good spot. It's more just what's been happening. What about Caleb? How about Caleb heading out to San Fran? Kind of a beaten up 49ers team. Caleb kind of slinging it lately, throwing it 40 times the last couple games. Give me 40 targets. I'm happy. Pass attempts. You like him?
He's running the football a lot too over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You can run the unknown. The unknown here is head coach got fired. Right. Okay. The head coach was a defense first. Defense wins you football games mindset.
Yes, please. Thank goodness.
Could this pendulum swing back to the offense, which I think it's been moving in that direction the last couple of weeks? Probably. I think so. But yeah, I'll let you say Caleb's a great play. I will definitely have some Caleb. I agree with you.
I'm just asking for permission. What I love about Caleb is he's so fun to stack. These are fun stacks. What, you don't want to play cheap DJ Moore and low cost Keenan Allen, or get crazy with Komet or Odunze? It's all fun. You play. Caleb is a stack with two all day long. You're just going to pick two of those, and one of them is either going to be Keenan Allen or DJ Moore, and the other one could be the other one, or it could be one of Komet or Odunze, and just have some fun with it. It's a low cost. By the way, there's so much value on the slate. I might end up with like Jefferson, Hill, like all the pay up wide receivers by the time it's said and done.
Agreed.
Who else in the cheap zone is popping for you, BobbyWow?
Let me give you two names quick. I think Matt Stafford deserves a mention here. We talked about it last week. He has been far more involved near the red zone with Puka and Cooper Kupp back. There was one kind of weird game. Here's his touchdown logs: 2-2-4 in a weird game in Miami. And with 0 and then 2-4. So we're talking, twice in the last 6 weeks, Stafford's thrown for 4 touchdown passes. He's hovering right around that 300-yard passing mark. Yeah, probably needs 3 and 300 yards.
Yeah,
but he's cheap enough. So look, again, another guy really easy to stack, right? It's Stafford and Puka or Stafford and Kupp to me. And then, maybe you throw DeMarcus Robinson there if you want to get a little silly, but I like Stafford in this game. It's 50-point game total it's crept up to at this point. So I love the matchup. I do love Maddie here. And I love Cooper Kupp a lot. The other guy I want to talk about.
Not Puka. Why Cooper? Why?
I think both are absolutely in play. But it just feels like this week sets up well for Cooper Kupp. I think, receptions wise, I think the volume's going to be there this week more than it has been that we've seen the last 2 weeks or so. And I think that's what we need. If Cooper Kupp's going to have a good score, he needs to have high volume. So I see some targets potentially funneling to him based on the Buffalo defense. So I'll have more exposure to him than Puka for the first time in the last probably 3 or 4 weeks.
All right, I like the call. Who else?
What last mention is just Kirk Cousins. I'm kind of shocked he's this low owned. Look, he's been bad fantasy speaking for 3 weeks in a row now. But this is as cheap as a guy like Kirk Cousins gets, and he's fun to stack too. You got Drake London, you got Darnell Mooney, who's dirt cheap. You got Kirk up against his old team. I just think things set up really well for the Falcons. Not to mention the Vikings have just stunk against the pass this season. Wide receivers have been torching them all season. And so this could be a really sneaky spot where Kirk Cousins puts up another 30-point game. I love the tournament upside for Kirky.
Not to mention revenge.
Right, yeah, going back to his home stadium, yeah.
Yeah, gotta love the revenge now. I mean, he's going to be, you like that at the end of this game and all that shit, like going crazy in the in the press box.
He's my favorite cheapie. Like
really? So Kirk Cousins is your favorite of the pay down options?
Probably, yeah. I mean, just his ceiling, and look, the fact that Will Levis is only a couple $100 cheaper than Kirk Cousins, like it's just crazy to me. The way things set up on paper for Kirk, that's all I'm saying. When I try to zoom out, it's like, what are we doing here? This is wild.
I don't even think Will Levis is that cheap. Like, all right, $5K.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Compared with Kirk, he's like a couple $100 cheaper. It's not like you're saving loads of cash.
This is not a slate where it matters. This is money everywhere. There's so much salary available. And Aiden O'Connell too. I mean, he's also got that matchup. So there are definitely some cheap options here. With AOC, and again, I'm no AOC fan, but I like Brock Bowers. All right, let me do the math. Yes. I already like Brock Bowers as a play, right? I think we all like him this and every week at this point. I kind of like Jacoby Myers as a play, as standalone. And as soon as that happened, I'm like, man, I really like Jacoby and I really like Brock. And then I'm like, wait, they have a quarterback. Might as well play that guy too. And that's really what it comes down to for AOC. It's like, all right, might as well. Plus, he's going up against the Bucs, who make dreams come true for opposing quarterbacks. That's what the Bucs do. So very comfortable stack, very easy. You know who to throw. It's literally those two guys and then a couple of ne'er-do-wells that you don't even have to know what they're like. Trey Tucker, who cares? It's AOC with those two. So yeah, most revenge game guy. Who cares? All we care about is if they put up fantasy production. Any other quarterbacks of interest for you guys, Burns or BobbyWow?
I don't know. Bobby, you got any?
Nope. Take a couple darts at Drew Lock, but otherwise, nope, that's it for me.
There we go. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the running back group where we have some extreme value that is presenting itself in real time. I'm going to assume that the ownerships will not reflect this. So let's take a look real quick and just sort by own. Yeah, that's not reflected. So laughing at Najee Harris chalk. I laugh.
Some of these guys haven't officially ruled out yet either. That's part of the issue.
Yeah, a lot of guys not being ruled out. So some of these things are these numbers. This is ridiculous. DeAndre Swift. They didn't know who to put. I mean, what the fuck is this? DeAndre Swift. All right.
Hey, look, though, DeAndre Swift is the same price as Isaac Guerrero. So, yeah, I like Swift a little bit here.
How about I'll take Garendo instead? What? Well, you want Swift over Garendo?
Chalky Garendo? Yes, absolutely.
Do you not know? See, this is where you're going.
He won't
Garendo
be
is
chalky now.
He's a beast. Garendo is a monster. He's huge. He was massively productive in college. This dude is good. He's actual good. He's not just some turd that's getting a job. He's actually good. At least I think so. I want to believe that. I'm all in on Garendo. If it wasn't for the fact that Charbonnet and Braylon Allen are now available to us, I would have 100% exposure to Garendo this week. Like every single.
That's crazy.
That's what
insane.
I'm letting you know. I'm upfront about it.
I was building a lot of lineups with him early in the week. I mean, it was just like
CMC's
out, Jordan Mason out.
Yeah.
Nobody else in the backfield.
Yeah.
But Garendo.
At 5,200. Even FanDuel, BobbyWow, tried to burn us. They got Mason up there at 8K thinking they were sneaky. They pre-priced him up before they knew about the injury. And then they got screwed with the news of Mason on IR, and you got Garendo for free on FanDuel. He's free. By the way, FanDuel this week, can you check the prices of Braylon Allen and Zach Charbonnet as well, Bobby? Because
they're in the fives.
Yeah, I mean, DeAndre Swift is free. I told you that already. So, yeah, those guys are all going to be free.
That's what I'm saying.
Garendo, to me, is the easiest to unfriend of all those. But we can talk more about that later.
I don't know what your hatred is for Garendo.
I don't hate him. I don't.
You're a hater.
I feel strongly.
You're a hater of Garendo.
I don't hate him at all. I don't even know him.
It's terrible. Top end of the range. I love Garendo. I'm so excited for this week. Top end of the range. You got Barkley. I mean, we already talked about this. Listen, Barkley's a great play. You got HN there, but right below HN is Kamara, who is no longer burdened by what has been Taysom Hill.
Mm-hmm.
It's unburdened now. It's free. No more touchdown vulture. These are the games where Alvin Kamara goes bonkers and against the Giants. So obvious play. Let's see the ownership on these two. Not that I buy these ownerships as of right now. This is ridiculous. But where the hell is
Kamara's the highest.
What is this? Where the fuck is Saquon? There he is. 16%. Okay. So Kamara so much more than everyone else. Let's prop based projection looks really good for Kamara here. Same as Barkley. Actually, Barkley's higher, which is nuts. This is the rare time. Look at Barkley's prop projection. It's above our projection for him. That's the only running back. Actually, Bucky has that going as well. Oh, I'm so excited for these guys. All right. So back to the top group. Let me just sort this by salary so I'm in the right spot here. Yeah. So back to this. All right. So BobbyWow up top here. Saquon, HN, Kamara. But then you got Bijan. Cook is there and Kyron Williams. Sort of part of this more expensive group of running backs. Do you have any interest with all of this? So let me present a larger scale. With all of the value that we probably are going to have at running back, assuming we already know that Hall will be out, so we do get Braylon Allen. We think that Walker will be out, which might give us, I love him, Charbonnet, who might be my favorite of them all. Might be my favorite of them all. I haven't decided yet. It's Friday. Knowing that, chances are we're not going to need more than one of these pay-ups. Chances are we're using two cheap guys and one pay-up. And I think actually the unique approach would be just use three cheapies. But chances are, so you only have to choose one. Which is the guy that, hey, you only get one choice of a pay-up running back. Who you taking?
I think I'm taking Bijan. This week. Again, we talked about Kirk Cousins. A lot of Bijan's upside comes from his involvement in the passing game. I think this is a game where he's heavily involved as a pass catcher. He had a great week last week against a really tough Chargers defense. And he just seems to have found his groove a little bit on offense. This is the first time we've seen an extended stretch where Bijan Robinson looks regularly and consistently super involved in that offense. And I think we're seeing it's working. So to me, Bijan Robinson, there's a price gap, which I really like between him and, Barkley at 9K. I also just feel like his ceiling is almost not as quite as good as Barkley's, but it's close. Like to me, his ceiling is better than Kamara's, who's been relatively disappointing this season. So I think if I got to choose one, it's Bijan here.
I like it. It's ballsy call. That is very tournament tactics of you. As Bijan is an interesting spot when I was thinking about him, just in terms of it's not the best matchup. The Vikings defense is pretty good versus running backs, but Bijan is coming off 32 touches last week, and 2 weeks ago 24, and 3 weeks ago 26, and 4 weeks ago 20. So, and many of which are targets in the passing game. So you cannot argue that this guy's volume is crazy. I think they've changed something in Atlanta because the Algerian not getting zero, only eight touches, there's 11 carries. So he did get some work a couple of weeks ago, but less volume for this guy, which is nice.
He's coming in to give Bijan a breather rather than coming in the most important times of the game this season.
Yeah. How about you, Burns? You get one choice of a pay up option at running back. You got Barkley, Achane, Kamara, Bijan, even Cook or Kyron.
I'm only going to preface this first. I think Saquon Barkley is probably the best play of all these guys at the top.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
But I'm just prefacing that first. But when you start to build lineups in DraftKings and you're at a set criteria for salary, and this is why 9K running backs haven't been in the winning Millie Maker lineups in quite some time, is because of the opportunity cost that it costs you to roster Saquon Barkley. We get a reprieve off of that opportunity cost because we're getting some lower salaried running backs that are starting to become viable. So Saquon Barkley should be in your player pool this week. So I just wanted to preface that first. But I think from my perspective, it's Kamara. Alvin Kamara, from a perspective, he's going up against the Giants. The Giants, outside of Carolina, are one of the lowest 5 in the NFL against running backs. Alvin Kamara also is going to not have to deal with Taysom Hill. I think the secondary of the Giants is actually the top part of their defense. So I think this becomes a Kamara game. I've not been on Kamara for the last 3 weeks. He was a home underdog, and if you rostered him, he faltered from a valuation perspective. I think you could actually see Kamara in the 30s this week from a fantasy points production on DraftKings. I think his ownership is just about right at 35-36%. I won't be at that level with him. I'll be about 30-ish% on a global max. So I think he's a right play. Is he the best play? No. But I think he's the right play. Yeah. And that's how I preface it.
I'll just kind of share what I'm doing / my thoughts on this as well. And I very much love just playing 3 of the cheap guys. I will be doing a shit ton of that because I actually don't think it's going to be done that often. And I think that will actually bring uniqueness. I have like 2 or 3 extra cheapies that aren't even in like the chalk group that I really love, like super low owned ones, not Swift, but like a Swift, but not him, but like him. But as far as this pay up, I will make sure to have some Barkley. Barkley can put 40 up. It's important to understand. Normally I'd be like, they don't need him. They want to get this guy records. This is a team. They're looking at his season. They want him to get the rushing record. They're not going to be like, hey, let's chill, I think they're going to continue to use him heavily in these games. I don't think they're going to like hold. I don't think it's like, oh, if they're up by 21, all of a sudden it's going to be Gainwell. And I think they want him to, he's going for rushing records. He's going for touchdown records. Like he is breaking all of everything this year. And they're about that in Philly. So I'm not going to shy away from a guy who's been the best running back, the guy who carried your team to the fucking fantasy championships or the fantasy playoffs this year. All you needed was Barkley and a bunch of ne'er-do-wells, and you're in first place with a bye week this week. And he's up against the defense that's got the 32, the vaunted, we are the worst marker over here on the DraftKings screen. So yes, I don't even think they priced him up enough.
They did on FanDuel. He's 10K.
Yeah, FanDuel is a tougher slog. But here, I almost don't think it's enough. Like, yeah, 9, 18, 27, 36. Yeah, he could put up 36 against Carolina.
I like to play Barkley when he's unowned, and I like to not play him when he's highly owned. I think he'll be 20% this week.
Look how many 36s he has. 1, 2. There's a 30. Then another 3, 4, 5.
40.
I mean, this guy has 5 36 pointers and a 30. That's 6. And they've only played 12 games.
It's insane.
He's doing it half the time.
He's a monster. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Like Burns said, I like the way you approach it. Barkley's the best play on the slate.
Yeah. So all agree. And Kamara with no Taysom, fine. Bijan, tournament contrarianism, fine. But I don't even think you need any of these other guys. As a matter of fact, I think that I'm just going to say this. I think you can ignore every running back from Bijan Robinson. And I want your take. This is my take. I will ignore everybody all the way down to maybe some Bucky consideration, maybe some Pollard consideration, just a little bit.
Ugh.
And just a little bit, all the way down to here. So
I mean, like 80% of those guys are hurt, but yeah.
Well, some of them are hurt. Some of them are shit, but I'll give you an idea. I'm not interested in Najee Harris.
No.
I'm not interested in Aaron Jones, really. I'm not really going to do James Conner this week.
Agreed.
I'm just not interested in those guys. Definitely no Chuba. Definitely no Chubb. I don't like any of it. Do you guys like anybody in this range? And we'll leave Bucky off with the Q tag because he's got a Q tag. But do you like anybody in this range?
I don't.
The only one I actually have interest in is Tony Pollard just because of the matchup.
Yeah, great matchup for TP. Yes, I agree with you. But not needed. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we can go from those 3 elite running backs all the way down to the value zone. The one name in the value zone that I wanted to mention before, and I was teasing it, is Tyrone Tracy. I think Tyrone Tracy is equally as good of a play as a lot of these very highly owned pay down options that we're going to have. Now, I liked him more before all of this value. I was like so proud of myself for like being excited, gummying it up for Tyrone. Just like, I think he can have this great game and I think he could give us a second pay down option. And then the news starts pouring in with Sharps and Braylon Allen, and now you don't really need it. But I still like him. But I don't need him.
I still won't have any of them.
Yeah. I'm just like, I get it. Home underdog, not good, but I think the Giants.
They're not projected. They're not even projected for 19 implied team total points. So
I understand it. It's just an angle that I'm playing. I think that Drew Lock, the version we saw on Thanksgiving, was unpracticed. They thought it was going to be cutlets. I feel like Drew Lock is better than what we saw. I think he just looked confused and he was slow making decisions and the offense just was terrible. I think they could be a little better.
I'll add to that. I don't think it was actually Lock's fault. The offensive line is atrocious.
It's
for the Giants.
Giants fan excuses.
That if you go back and you watch the tape on the Giants, their line is disgusting.
My take was he's too slow to make the decision. And so he's getting hit. He needs to be a faster decision maker. Tua's out there throwing a ball in 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds, within 3 seconds.
I won't say Drew Lock's any good, but I'm just saying their line sucks too. So everything about the Giants sucks this year.
Yeah, well, except for Neighbors.
Yeah, that's the bright spot.
And actually, that Theo Johnson was looking good for a minute until he went on IR. The tight end.
He was looking real good.
He was looking good.
He was.
Mental note, guys,
Next
everybody who's watching this, store this in like your mental note for next year, like best ball season or whatever. That Theo Johnson was looking pretty good out there. So like, don't forget about that guy.
You going to throw a trade in for me?
What's that?
You want to trade him?
No, stop. Do you have him on your on our dynasty team?
Yeah.
Not for what you're going to want, but you
him and Jatavian Sanders, I got them both.
You can get a 4th rounder from me for those guys. All right. So let's talk about the lower cost running backs. You're still hurting from my trade where I gave you Daniel Jones.
I've already gave up on the season.
I didn't get anybody back who was any good. You gave me a dud in Trey Benson back, so I'm not.
He'll be all right if James Conner hits the skids.
I have to root for an injury now. Thank you for that. Let's speaking of injuries, we got injured running backs that create some amazing value. Let's talk about the names, and then BobbyWow, you're going to tell me why Garendo is a bad play. But
I didn't say it's a bad play. And he's not a bad play.
I heard you said that. Listen, I'm sitting on the wrong thing. I thought you were
in tournaments. He is
too high on.
There's arguments to go underweight. Yeah.
Okay. I don't like Kyron. Let me make that very, very clear. No. The reason I don't like Kyron is his prop-based projection is terrible, and he hasn't had a target in the passing game in like 4 weeks. I'm sick of it. And
Kyron game's coming, but it's not this week.
It could be this week, but I'm just not going to be there for it. So whatever. Garendo starting for the 49ers. You got Rashad White. Maybe if Bucky doesn't play, I think Bucky's going to play, but he hasn't practiced. So Rashad White becomes interesting. I don't think that Alexander Madison qualifies even to be mentioned. So I'm not going to. But then we've got Braylon Allen starting for the injured Breece Hall. Jets do have a backup to Braylon, so he's not going to get 100% of the carries, but he's looked good out there when he has been given opportunities. Dare I say, has looked better than Breece Hall this year at times.
Yeah.
And now he gets the full team, the full start, the whole deal. Yes, please. Right. And then my guy, Zach Charbonnet, little Charbonnet with your, I don't know, what do you drink Charbonnet with your pasta? I'm rolling.
Usually you do reds with red meat, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, a little Chardonnay with your steak. Oh, I'm going to steakhouse next weekend. I think it's called like Let's Meet. That's the name of the steakhouse. Let's Meet.
There you go. Then order
but spelled MEAT.
A nice little Chianti.
And so the fava beans. Yeah, I got to get the fava beans. Going to the steakhouse next week. Wait, before we get into Charbonnet,
let's meet.
Here are the choices: prime rib with au jus, filet mignon, or porterhouse for 2. Which way are you going?
Oh, porterhouse.
Porterhouse for 2.
Especially bone in. Oh yeah.
No, it's going to be
porterhouse in a legit place. I think you got to go safe at a place called Let's Meet. Feels like you got to go filet.
Just go with the filet. It's a little sketchy. Just the name of the place. I thought it was a little sketchy too. I was like, that's what it's called. Steakhouse should be named after someone like Jim Johnson's Steakhouse. Then you know you're doing something right. Let's meet.
When you come out here, we'll go to Hugo's Frog Bar and we'll get a Chicago cut. Oh man,
there you go.
I could do that. With that being said, look at the games that Charbonnet started earlier this season. He just was good. You know what? He's cheap and he was great. 20, 25, couple really good games when he got those 2 starts. Really productive. My favorite part about what he did, he didn't have a the chat absolutely agrees with Porterhouse, by the way. This it's running away with the Porterhouse.
Oh yeah.
The last time this guy played, what I loved about Charbonnet, so I'm really excited if he does get the start, because he didn't have some vulture coming in getting the passing game work. He is that guy. So he got all of the Kenny Walker work plus the Sharbs work. They didn't have another guy coming in. He's been in there each week getting a couple targets. Look at these points. Add the 12 and the 14 to what Kenny Walker has been doing lately, and all of a sudden you got a good score because Kenny Walker's been shit.
I thought
yes, he has.
When I looked at this earlier today, I thought Charbonnet actually scored a touchdown against Arizona. It was a pass
He
catching
definitely did not.
touchdown.
He got a 2, so it
Was
was
it
not
was it
him.
taken? He must have scored it, but they took it back by like a holding or something.
Could have happened.
Could
Could have happened. Yeah, the old red zone on, see the touchdown, didn't see the follow up.
Yeah.
But all right. So speaking of this group, I don't know what to say here. Do you have a preference, BobbyWow? Is there one that you love above the others?
Yeah, I think it's probably Charbonnet, Allen, and then Garendo in that order for me. I like Charbonnet quite a bit. Allen
Love
is
Allen.
explosive. That guy can get it done. And he's a pass catching running back.
Do you just hate Garendo because he's going up against your beloved Bears? Is that what's happening here?
No, but look, here's the deal with Garendo. He's the most expensive of the bunch. He's against the strongest defense of the bunch. I know they haven't been as good against the run, but they've been pretty solid. And he's not a prolific pass catching running back, Garendo. Like he's more of a power football, bigger guy. And he'll catch a pass or two, maybe a couple passes. I think he caught 2 passes in his one start earlier this season. But he's going to have to get it done on the ground. And the Bears are stingy in the red zone against running backs. So I just think of those 3 guys, you got more pass catching upside. The other 2, they're cheaper and a little bit better matchups. Okay. Plus far less ownership.
Possibly far less. We don't know.
Potentially.
Possibly. What are the prices for those guys on FanDuel? Can you pull those up?
Yeah, I can pull it up.
You're going to get some bargains on FanDuel. By the way, I'm saying this right now. On FanDuel, I am playing all 3 of these guys in the same lineup, and I am just going to load up on the cheapies because that just is a cheat code on FanDuel for taking tournaments down. And you can believe me because I've taken some tournaments down on FanDuel.
It's true. He's done it before.
The one this year so far. Just the one. And technically it was second place. Burns, while Bobby's looking that up, do you have an order or preference? And is there another name here that's floating around that you need to even bother with? And the answer is probably no.
Yeah, these guys, now that we have some serious value, I do like Isaac Garendo. I'm not really even sure he has to actually do a lot of pass catching in this game. I think he can actually get it done on the ground. But if he does get it done through the air as well, I mean, that's just an added bonus for him. Charbonnet,
I think he has to score.
Yeah, he's got to score. I think all 3 of these guys have to score. Charbonnet is in a really good spot. I really like his pass catching ability. And he's going up against the 20th ranked defense in pass catching against the running backs. Braylon Allen, we saw him earlier in the season. He actually vultured Breece Hall multiple times earlier in the season. So I could see him actually doing well where if Breece Hall's completely out of this game. But yeah, I mean, these 3 guys are your top 3 valued guys. I don't know what Vegas is doing per se, if they're bringing back Madison or what, but if Amir Abdul has seen some decent run without Madison, and they could actually just go to Amir Abdul and not worry about things. And he's got a really good matchup, but I'm not saying you should go for him anything higher than potentially 5% of your lineups, even if that. I mean, the only thing I do like about Amir Abdul is he's a much better pass catching running back than Madison is in this offense, and Tampa Bay is 32nd ranked defense against pass catching running backs, and so this could be a way that you get a little bit different off of Charbonnet, who's going to be much higher owned at $100 more.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, Amir Abdullah will be unowned.
Unless you're off the chalk QB, right?
Yeah. And it's certainly not going to be owned at all. So that's a pretty that one's out there. I don't think it's necessary. I think you've got 3 amazing values. And like I said, for me, if I need to sneak an extra one in there that no one's going to be talking about, it's really Tyrone Tracy for me. That's where I'm going with it. I'll play those other guys, and then I'll get a little time. I just like saying it. Call Tyrone. Got to get him in there. All right. So, yeah, and that's how I'm going to do it. And on FanDuel, I am being very, very clear. I love FanDuel this week. I love bargain running backs, specifically on FanDuel. You got to play those guys. And I will be doing contrarianism by playing all of them.
They're all basically 5,300 on FanDuel, all three of them.
You don't understand. No one plays them all together. No, I got to shut the fuck up about it or they'll start. But no one plays them all together, right? They always want to use two to afford the expensive one. And that's where you get unique.
Let's come back to that. Because I find that so I believe you, but I also find it hard to believe on a slate like this. So let's come back to that next week because I feel like that'll be more popular than we think.
I have seen this. I know.
Jamming the value
up. The chat is like, dude, you said it. Don't say it again. They're listening. I've seen this over and over and over again. It's been for years. This is like I've been observing this for years, and I'm like, they hate taking the value. It makes you sick to click on a 5K player. To click on 2 5K players makes you nauseous on FanDuel, and they never do it. And they don't do all three. It rarely comes up, but they're not going to do it. They want to have Barkley. They want to name the same way when somebody looks at your lineup after you draft and all they see is like the quarterback. Like, oh, you're got a crappy quarterback, and you're like, did you not see that? They don't look at the other things. They just look at that. So I don't know why.
That's crazy.
Yeah, all 4 if we could. That's right. I mean, yeah, I just want to absorb all that value. Fuck yeah. All right. As we proceed to the wide receiver group, I want to remind you guys, you are watching the DFS Army Tournament Tactics Show here on the DFS Army YouTube channel. Well, give us a like if you're enjoying the breakdown. Maybe hit subscribe if you enjoy this stuff. Every now and again, you're not only going to get some DFS advice, but you might even catch a chuckle or 2 along the way. We try to keep it entertaining, try to keep it fun.
Sparring.
What's that?
Some little sparring,
a little arguing. I think it's a different kind of channel and breakdown than what you see most of the time in the DFS space. We've been doing this for a long time, and we appreciate everybody that's here watching, hanging out, especially the live crew, man. Those of you guys who are hanging out with us live, you really do make the show. I get mesmerized by the chat as I'm trying to do this and also read. It's like, you guys make me laugh in the chat. So I appreciate you guys for being here as well. And of course, this great panel that we have each week here breaking it down. So hit that like, subscribe, and we'd love to see you in DFS Army in our Discord. If you'd like to do that as well, dfsarmy.com, check it out. And if you're a sports bettor, of course, we'd love you to check out Sharp app and learn what it is to be an EV bettor. An EV bettor, BobbyWow.
Yes. All was foreign to me until about 8 months ago, thanks to Sharp.
Just take the value. Take the value. All right. Moving on to the wide receiver group. Here we go. I'm going to sort by ownership again. And okay. I'll sort by ownership again, and we'll talk about some of these chalk plays. I have never been more sure that ownerships are going to dramatically change between now and 24 hours from now than what is going on the screen here. So we will have massive changes, all the new information coming out. But I'll tell you guys right off the bat, the one that surprised me the most is Juwan Jennings.
Mm-hmm.
BobbyWow inside information last week or 2 weeks ago was sharing with us about the eliteness of the Chicago secondary.
Yes, but there is a caveat. The third cornerback is as weak as it gets. The third guy in the pecking order gets eaten alive, which is maybe why Juwan Johnson is interesting here, because he could do some damage depending on how the Niners line up. And I think, with Kyle Shanahan, who knows? So it's really hard to kind of pinpoint that.
Yeah, I was going to say, who's going to be on who?
Matchup wise, I do think, there's some merit to that.
Okay, interesting. When I saw Juwan, of course, the first thought I had with Juwan at 5,200 was, oh, that's a good play. And then the second thought I had was, wait a second, doesn't Chicago have elite outside cornerback play that could shut this guy down?
Look at back to that same game, the Vikings game. Jordan Addison had the big game, right?
Yeah, it was the second guy, but isn't Juwan the top guy?
Juwan is the
top.
Debo
the top guy.
Plays in the slot. Debo's in the slot. Debo is not.
They're going to play Debo as the top guy. We're not identifying Juwan as the top guy here.
Yes, he plays the X.
Kittle's the top guy, but to me, it's Kittle, it's Kittle, Debo, and then Juwan.
Juwan Jennings.
We're talking with
That's
Juwan
the way I
Jennings.
see it. Juwan Jennings.
Oh, Juwan Jennings, not Juwan Johnson, but I think that Jennings is the X receiver on that team, and I think he will be the one covered by the elite cornerback from Chicago. I don't know this for sure, but I do know Debo's moved all around. He is not kept on the outside. He's all over the place. He's kind of like the wild card, or he has been in the past. I mean, pretty much this year he just sucks.
I think you'll see a lot of Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon mixing and matching with Kittle and Debo. I would be shocked if they were following Juwan Jennings around. But again, with Kyle Shanahan, it's really just it's hard to nail down. So
the third guy is Ricky Pearsall. Maybe it's the Pearsall game.
Could be
interesting. But anyway, I thought that was weird in this chalk. None of the rest of it really stood out to me as crazy, but that one kind of did. And I was like, oh, all right, that's how we're doing it this week. Okay. But with that being said, I do think that the running back space is very clear to me. I feel very confident in it, right?
But I think the wide receiver space is the biggest primary reason why the cheap running backs can fail, because you've got top price guys up here that could easily be outscored, by guys in the price tier below.
It's not a must.
Brown, JJ, Mike Evans, those guys could easily flop, and they have throughout the season, time and time again. So it's tough. That to me is the best argument against the cheapies at running back.
Yeah,
you need these guys. They're not exactly to play well.
But we could pay up for tight end. But they're not exactly. I'm paying up for tight end. But
it's not even paying up compared to wide receiver here. Brock Bowers is 6,500. He's cheap.
All right, let's. But you're right. There are some good plays here, but this is where you need to pick right. And there's definitely not. These are not like what you're saying, and I agree with that. I agree with is like there's no full confidence in even these pay up options. Everyone has a flaw, and so
there's no Jamar Chase, right? Right, exactly.
Yeah. Now Justin Jefferson is close to unflawed.
Is he?
I love playing JJ no matter what. Like he's JJ, and he's been averaging 20. Like he puts up 20 every week. So that one, and we talked about
up 20 points in 5 weeks since week 9. JJ doesn't always put up. JJ, I try to harp on this. I've tried to harp on this all season. JJ has not been the fantasy producer, DFS speaking, to justify the price that he continues to have. Thankfully, because of
DraftKings
come down because of the slate.
All right,
JJ's last 4 games, 16.9, 4, 14, and 9.
Wait, what was it?
17, 4, 14, and 9.8.
Yeah, that hasn't been that great. So he's on not the best of stretches. There we go. Yeah, he could fail, but we also kind of like him a little bit here. So
yeah, he's a great spot again. He's in the spot.
What the hell? Yeah, I mean, it's his time, guys. I get it. Nothing has changed about the player. He's not hurt. Just natural noise and variance is all that's going on there. So now I have to reload my DraftKings to get this on screen, and I didn't need to do that live so everybody sees my my code and my my login and password. You guys don't need to know that. So there we go. Let's talk about the top end group here at wide receiver this week. And you can see, though, the aforementioned JJ is the highest owned of the group. AJ Brown not getting a lot of ownership. Then you got Puka, Cooper Kupp in there, both pretty much the same at 10%. Mike Evans, interesting, and Reek low owned. So that's sort of the super elite tier here of 7K and up. So, Bobby, you had some strong opinions. Let's start with you. Is it Cooper Kupp for you? What about Reek? How are you? Where are you going here?
I think on paper, JJ is the best wide receiver play on the slate. And he had the problem is he has been for a couple of weeks now where he's metrically looked phenomenal. He's been popping off the page, but for whatever reason, Sam Darnold just has yet to produce a ceiling score out of JJ. So while he's the best on paper, clearly that hasn't worked out, in recent weeks.
He's been really close.
Well, his ceiling's 26. I'm just saying, it just hasn't been the season that, we were accustomed to seeing from JJ.
Yeah.
We're used to seeing some spikes, at least among those consistent numbers, right? Like a 35-point week, maybe a 40-point ceiling, and then, maybe a 30-point week, but we just haven't seen that. So on paper, no doubt he's the best play, I think, wide receiver wise, but I guess I'm just saying, tread with caution because we haven't seen it yet this season. Could it come here? Absolutely. But
yeah,
just hasn't come.
It could happen. I mean, I thought the same thing. And then when I was going through my sheet, I was like, but you know what? Sam Darnold did produce a good game to Addison.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not like a quarterback
he did.
capable of getting it done. It just hasn't happened with JJ as of yet. Anyone else in the group popping for you?
I mean, I think you're going to want exposure to all these guys, right?
Yeah.
All the value at running back, you're gonna need exposure to all these guys. I think AJ Brown is under-owned, in the matchup. He's been terrible too, but you can't beat, lining up against the Panthers here. He could have a big day if the Eagles decide to throw it. And then Puka's in a solid spot, but Tyreek Hill, to me, Tyreek and Cooper Kupp will be my primary options above 7K. I'll be well over the field on both those two guys. I think, especially if Sauce is out, Tyreek Hill has as good of a ceiling as anybody. And we already talked about Cooper Kupp. The price difference, quite a bit cheaper than Puka. And I think the volume is finally there this week for him.
How about you, Burns?
Yeah, I'm pretty right in line with Bobby here. It's Tyreek Hill, it's Cooper Kupp, and I'm on the AJ Brown train. If I get AJ Brown at 5% or lower, that's pretty good. Especially since he's that much lower owned than a chalky Justin Jefferson, and both haven't gotten it done. But AJ Brown he's a tournament pivot off Saquon Barkley this week.
Yeah, so, I think AJ Brown can only be played with Jalen Hurts. I don't even think he's playable as a standalone for me. It's just if he's doing it, Jalen Hurts is getting it done. Like there's no in between for me. So if he's in my lineup, it's only with Jalen. I can play some of these other guys naked, but not Brown. He needs to be stacked up with his guy. I think the one that we didn't really emphasize, but they're all good. Jefferson. Yeah, this is all a good zone here. And I'll have a ton of them just because of my approach with the running backs. But, Puka's fine. Jefferson, yes, he hasn't had a good game yet. Don't care. He's priced low. By the way, little do we notice, but this guy was priced higher than this. So we can complain. Yeah, he hasn't had the great year, but this guy was 86, 87, 88 for most of the season. Now we're down under 8K. That is when you want to jump on these guys. A 9K player that you're getting for sub 8.
Here's something that's interesting. He's 9,200 on FanDuel.
Jefferson?
And he's significantly he's much more of a value on DraftKings.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, you don't notice it. Same thing with Tyreek, by the way. Tyreek, we could be disappointed in his year when we think of him as a 9K player. But when you start to think, you know what? Wait a minute. He's 7,100. He's 7K. At 7K, you're not that bad. As long as you're getting like a 20, you're all right. Hey, I need a 28. But if I'm at a 22, all right, he's doing all right. And he is doing that. He's kind of getting, here's a 20 and 19. He's been hanging around. If he could he needs to pick it up. But basically, he's priced much more appropriately to his production from this year. And it's so much more leverage to get a Tyreek Hill spike to 30 game or 35 game when he's 7K. When he's 9K, you need it or you're done. So you can get a 5X from Tyreek if things go a certain way. All right, let's
same thing. Exactly right.
Right. It's the bargain. It's you got to adjust your mind when the price comes down that, I need a 30 I'm disappointed with less than actually it's okay with Tyreek now. A 23, 24, you're pretty happy. Not that he's been getting 23s, 24s, but so you get the idea. Next group. First, Malik Neighbors has got a Q tag. I don't know if he's going to play, guys. Got a
George Pickens, just new injury too. I don't know if he'll play.
Who's that?
I think George Pickens just popped up today.
Yeah, I didn't see the Q tag. Hamstring. Oh,
yeah.
You don't like a hammy. A late week hammy that's bad.
Already
sign.
Up against Cleveland, which isn't great anyway. Yeah, it's
not a great sign. Not a great match. I didn't even put Pickens on my list. In fairness, this week. But Malik Neighbors is very playable if he's healthy with Drew Lock. Then you have the Jets pair. You know, I just don't like it. I just don't like it.
They're so
Can't help
cheap.
it.
I mean, they're so cheap. Devontae, they're so cheap.
I know. They deserve to be. Devontae's getting like 15 targets. I just don't like it. I don't know. The Jets are a sick team. And they probably start winning now that they're completely out of it, and wins will hurt the team. That's usually
when they throw more though without Breece Hall. Do you think it forces them to air it out a little bit more?
No. They've been airing it out anyway, and I don't think Braylon Allen changes anything about how they run the offense.
I just can't think the last time Devontae Adams was below 8K, let alone 7K.
Devontae Adams is probably a great play. Miami does have really good cornerback play.
They do have good. Yes, they do.
Yeah. This is the hard part. The wide receiver group. We got to get it right because the running backs seem very, very locked in. So here we have Drake London, 6,400. JSN, who I like a lot, and he's been really good lately. You've got your DJ Moore. So in this group, kind of this middling salary group here, Burns, do you have any of these like popping for you more than all? Give me like your two favorites here and tell me why.
What are we looking at for salary wise?
We're between 7K or 6,900 and 5,900. So that whole group, a whole screen worth.
Yeah. So with George Pickens being on the unhealthy list, kind of diminishes my like of him. I thought he was a good play. This week, he metrically is a good play. Drake London, I think, is a really good play in this game. Minnesota's beatable over the top. Their secondary is probably the worst part of their entire defense. Drake London is, for 6,400, I think he's probably the best play in this salary range of 6Ks on paper. Yeah, so that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I mean, Jackson Smith-Njigba did damage against Arizona the last time they played, and I think they go right back to him in this game. Does he do as equal, if not better? That remains to be seen. But Jackson Smith-Njigba should be a part of your player portfolio this week. Bobby touched on him, MHJ. He should be a part of your portfolio. But yeah. I gravitate to Drake London this week in this matchup.
A quick browse of the prop-based projections. So just what the props are saying, and that's a new feature we've added at DFS Army this season, where we just take all the props together, add them up, throw our formulas on it, and get a fantasy score and compare it to our traditionally modeled fantasy scores. And on the prop-based, Drake London is far and away the best value in this price, and actually just even in the Army projection as well. So yeah, Drake London stands out far and away as the best value in this range. It's not even close. And then next best is pretty much JSN and then DJ Moore.
Yeah, DJ Moore to me is, this guy quietly goes under the radar, because he's not having explosive games. People think he's not doing well. Look, DJ's the number one. He scored touchdowns in back-to-back games. He's had 30 and 24 points. In the last 2 weeks. Like, this guy is scoring better than really anybody we've named on this entire list to this point, outside of maybe Mike Evans and Puka Nacua. So I think DJ Moore, to me, he's again in a prime spot, should see 7 to 10 targets. Again, got touchdown upside, and he's gonna get the football in his hands. So not trying to be a Bears guy here, just the fact is DJ Moore is the number one, and he's getting the football.
Thank you, Airborne, for this nice comment, and that is true. We don't just
look at the prop.
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, we don't just do tournament tactics at DFS Army. We have our cash approaches, and if you're into playing cash games, I love what Fling's bringing to the table for NFL, and it's just the cash. We don't talk about it here because it's really just one lineup that you want to make or two, and that's for DFS Army subscribers. But yeah, no matter what kind of player you are in DFS, we have something for you in DFS Army. So again, we'd love you to check it out, see what we are about, join our Discord, hang with all these great minds that you see here on these shows, and many, 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 many others that are in the Discord talking and putting forth ideas. So we'd love to have everybody with us. And we appreciate your comment here, Airborne 3504. Airborne, hopefully a military man.
Love it.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Love it.
Based on the name? Maybe.
Could be.
Look,
I've never seen a prop projection almost a full point higher. And DJ Moore has that in this case. Like,
yeah, it's great.
The numbers say play DJ Moore.
That's right. Propped above our
almost
projection.
A full point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's a good play. Who doesn't prop out well, but again, tournaments are tournaments, and it doesn't matter that much. We're trying to win tournaments, but yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. has not been has had great props all year long. He's just not been that great. All right. Moving down to the next group. So lower cost wide receiver group here. Debo, we talked about him before. But there's a few names here that I think would be super popular. Debo popular, though. A little surprised, actually, on that one. I don't get it. K-Shack, it's enough with him already, too. Come on. It's enough. And then you have Brian Thomas Jr., who could be interesting.
K-Shack, he's been hauling. He's the guy, man.
Is he? I don't know. I feel like he doesn't put up the score. He gets the targets and he doesn't do anything. You know what? Let me take a look here.
He's not putting up score. You're right. He hasn't put up the score. But...
He's been this. He put up a 22 once. Even that wasn't enough to. And ever since then, he's like the highest owned. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's been disappointing. But yeah,
you're right. You're right about the scores. That's true.
The targets are there, though. You are correct there. But it's just an unexciting play.
Ugly scores.
Win me a tournament, K-Shack. That ain't winning me shit. You got Brian Thomas Jr. Interesting. Devontae Smith back in full health. Slim Reaper for 5,800. I think that's okay. Yes. Jerry Jeudy coming off the game of his career with Jamo. Cedric Tillman out again. So it's going to be another focused Jerry Jeudy. Of course, he will have to deal with Joey Porter Jr. Not fun. JPJ on him, Burns. Not fun. You don't want that. But I couldn't tell you how happy I was for Jerry Jeudy in that breakout game last week. Like, I like this kid. I drafted him in Dynasty. I believed in him. I went out on a limb.
Mm-hmm.
I went out on a limb for him, and he has not reached his potential at all. He went back-to-back with CeeDee Lamb in his draft class.
Yep.
It was Lamb and then him. Yeah, I mean, he was drafted as an absolute stud. Yeah, he was drafted as a stud, and it just hasn't really come together. Where else? Okay, yeah, Ridley, super popular. Super pop. Dixon did call the Jeudy captain, and he was right. Super popular Ridley, super popular Myers. I love Keenan. There's so many plays to like. So with that being said, in the 5 to 6K zone, lots and lots of names, lots of players. Jennings is there. Amari Cooper, interesting. So much.
And you know what those prices are? They're the exact same as those cheapy running backs that you are really excited about.
Correct. I'm excited about these guys too.
I'm just saying it makes it tough. That's why the cheapy running back is scary to me.
Yeah.
Because he's competing with Amari Cooper and Juwan Jennings and Addison and these guys.
And Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. And look, because then you got to look at the top tier comparison, right? Like you're looking at Saquon Barkley versus, Justin Jefferson and AJ Brown. Like Saquon has the clear edge ceiling wise there. And some of those, even Kamara and Bijan. No, it just makes it a little more interesting. Just an interesting strategy this week.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting how it comes. You're right. Let's call it. I mean, I'd rather have those running back in a vacuum. If you're asking me between Juwan Jennings and Amari Cooper or Isaac Guerendo, I feel much better about Guerendo. But that doesn't mean these two names that I just said don't have a higher ceiling. I would say Amari Cooper has a higher ceiling.
Keenan Allen, you feel better about Isaac Guerendo than Keenan Allen?
Man, I like Keenan too.
Mooney.
I like Darnell, but I like Keenan. I like Keenan quite a bit too. So yeah, no, you're right. Great. Give me more good plays.
$100 more. I just say, like, cash wise, safety wise, totally. Yeah, bring on the cheapy running backs. But tournament wise, it feels like the ceiling for the wide receivers is much higher. But I could be wrong on that.
That's every week. Can we have?
Yeah, I'm just saying. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I want my special low cheap running back week this week.
Just playing
This is
some
where I'm
devil's
gonna get
advocate.
crazy.
That's all.
And by the way, none of this is relevant on FanDuel, where you just play the cheap running backs and don't even question it. And they are way better and way higher ceiling than any of these wide receivers. So like on FanDuel, it's just different with the scoring.
Different with FanDuel, yeah.
Yeah. Being that you're the FanDuel guru and I'm supposed to be the DraftKings guru.
No, it's
Just
good to highlight though. That's good stuff to highlight.
All right. So in this group, the whole crew and a lot of really good ones. So we don't want to touch on every single one. Bobby, who are your two favorites? 5K to 6K.
5K to 6K.
Yeah.
Man, I like Keenan Allen quite a bit here. I like
Keenan.
Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith, I think, is one of the higher upsides down here in this price range. And because I like Kirk Cousins a lot, I think Darnell Mooney makes a ton of sense at 5,500.
Will not be owned. Super low. So yeah. Get some low
Another
on
guy
whose
prop projection is much better than his.
Mooney 11.7.
I'm sorry, no, I take that back. I was looking at somebody else, looking at Elijah Moore for some reason, who's almost 2 points better.
Oh, I love Eli. Well, we'll get
Look
to
at that.
He is one of my favorite. Spoiler alert, if we're going under 5K, that is my guy. That's it. Spoiler.
Can we go back to Thielen this week?
No. Thielen was last week, and he's done for now. We might revisit him next week, but he's put on the side. But I did love Thielen. I mean, did we mention that on the show? Did we?
We did talk Thielen. Yeah, we did talk about him coming back.
He was in. I was talking him up on the Players Club, the Saturday show where we build the lineups together, VIP only. And I don't remember if I mentioned it on Friday or if it was something we all talked about on Friday beforehand. Burns, pick two out of this group.
My two would. I think you have to get some ownership in Amari Cooper this week.
Yes.
I do. A lot of people will be going to K-Shack, but Amari Cooper makes a lot of sense this week. I too like Darnell Mooney. I think Darnell Mooney's in a great spot. You beat Minnesota via the air. So I think that's the way they go in this one. And I know, let's see, Jacoby Myers is going to be supremely high owned. But I like Darnold and I like Jordan Addison. So it's kind of the way I would go with my stacks with Darnold, Jordan Addison, and TJ. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it.
A little alt play. Yeah. I like all the names that you guys mentioned as well. There's a couple. I think, it's interesting. Calvin Ridley going to be super high owned. I almost think I want to fade him. Probably won't, but just the high ownership, the whole Will Levis thing. It's fine, but it's more of like, on the flip side of it with Ridley as well. So between Thomas Jr. and Ridley, they both are kind of the same guy to me. That's number one. They're both kind of the same thing. BTJ, I think I like him more, but Mac Jones, it's fine. Is he good? I don't know.
No,
he's just terrible.
The thing about Jacksonville is they haven't been allowing nearly as many fantasy points to wide receivers the second half of the season because they've slowed the pace way down. This is going to be a slow paced game here. It's tough. It's tough to like either of these guys, honestly.
Yeah, they're really similar. Riddler is getting tons of ownership with that Levis chalk stack. So, there's that. I mean, I don't know what to do about it, but he is there. I agree with you, though. I think Keenan Allen, who's not showing high ownership, is a great play. And I loved Amari Cooper. I can't believe you mentioned him, Burns. Amari Cooper, to me, was the standout. I was expecting it last week, but they had all that snow. None of the wide receivers could get it going. So now we just gave up on this guy. But let's not forget. Let me take you through the timeline. He joins the team, right? Has a lucky good game on a few snaps, whatever. Then he gets hurt the next week, and he's hurt for 3 or 4 weeks, and it plays a little bit through the hurt, but hurt 3 or 4 weeks. Finally starts to get healthy. Misses a few weeks, and finally getting healthy, and then we get the snow game. So what I'm saying is I don't think that Amari Cooper's lack of production is like the same thing as Deontay Johnson, where they just don't play him. With Amari Cooper, I just think it's circumstantial. It's a little bit of noise, a little bit of variance, and that it could happen at any time.
Just so weird that his snap count dropped again. I know it's the snow, but like the percentage even dropped last week relative to the week before the bye. It's just scary. Plus, you got Keon Coleman coming back, which I don't know if that's favorable for Cooper, but Cooper is at some point going to be the WR1. Like, he's going to get all the snaps, right? That's the plan eventually.
I mean, I don't know what the plan is. I thought it would be the plan. Who the hell is there? I thought the whole point was
that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Why are we seeing it?
This isn't like Deontay, where he went to a team that had a couple other guys that they were already throwing to.
Right.
They had Flowers on there and whatever. This is that he went to a team because they emergency needed a WR1, and that's what he's supposed to be. And so that's what he's supposed to be. I don't even understand Binkin and the Van Jefferson stuff. Get that I don't know what the hell you're saying. I think you're confusing that with Justin Jefferson. Van Jefferson stinks. I guess that means like if Pickens is out, but I think Van Jefferson is so bad, even with no Pickens. I guess that's what that's about. Van waiting to make Van a thing for like 5 years. He was a second-round draft pick. Or in your dynasty draft anyway. But
he was.
No Cedric Tillman. Can we play Jerry Jeudy going up against Joey Porter?
I'm out. I do think he could play the other. I do think Elijah Moore is intriguing.
We're playing Eli Moore.
Intriguing. Yeah. I would not be caught dead chasing Jerry Jeudy, who will be double-digit ownership here.
Is that what he's projecting, or you're assuming? Oh yeah, double-digit. Burns, can we play him?
I didn't. When I did the cheat sheets, I was like, oh shoot, I didn't check the matchup. But against Joey Porter, no, absolutely not.
Right, so there you have it. There's your answer. As much as I love me some Jeudy, we might have to go with cheat code sub 5K Eli Moore. Anybody else under 5K that you're interested in? We don't need these guys this week, by the way. Don't need them.
Your lineups won't need them, but
I won't need them. But
Burns, I think you should mention the guy you've been talking about, or you were talking about beforehand, because I think that play's growing on me like crazy. If Neighbors is out.
Oh yeah. So if Neighbors is out this week, I really do think you go back. You got to go to Darius Slayton in this game. New Orleans Saints are atrocious on the secondary. Darius Slayton he's going to get open in this game just because he's flat out fast as all get out. I don't think it's a Wan'Dale Robinson game, and here's why. New Orleans Saints, if their secondary is going to do anything, it's across the middle in passing situations. And they are the number one defense in the National Football League against the slot position. So they are a formidable defense in the secondary against slot. They are porous because they got rid of Marshawn Lattimore to the Washington Commanders in the secondary on the outsides. So this is where Darius Slayton is going to excel. Malik Neighbors, I to be quite honest with you, if Malik Neighbors is even in this game with a hip flexor, I'm still may even go right to Darius Slayton because I just think he is the guy that could pop off this week. I really do think he could actually have a really good week this week. And it's the last time I was on Darius Slayton. The Giants traveled to Seattle and he went off for 26 DraftKings points. And that was the last time. There was no Neighbors, but Neighbors could be hobbled in this game, and that actually takes him out of the game completely. So
Darius Slay, wait for it, ton.
You buddy.
Slay. Okay, so BobbyWow, did I ask you? Did you give us one sub 5K guy yet?
I think if I'm giving you a super punt, you're not gonna like it. It's not Calvin Austin, but it's Kevin Austin.
Who?
From the New Orleans Saints.
What the who?
I know Kevin Austin. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
All right. You just found a player I've never heard of.
No, I think. Look, I think he's interesting. You know, younger guy, the most consistent, wide receiver in terms of snaps on the Saints. Obviously, you got MVS too, but now you got no Taysom Hill. who the heck's Derek Carr going to throw to? Kevin Austin's been seeing some targets at 3,400. I think he's the cheapest viable guy. If you need to plug in a super punt, he's where I'm going.
What about our 3-name guys, Westbrook Akine and Valdez Scantling?
Kevin Austin is $1,500 cheaper than those guys, $1,200 cheaper.
Yeah, but those guys score touchdowns, and Kevin Austin does not.
Also true.
I mean,
I'm just giving you a punt. I'm giving you a punt. That's
there's another one. I thought this guy would be cheaper coming into the slate, which is this PJ Washington character. I don't even know if his middle initial is J, to be honest, but there's a PJ Washington in basketball, so
that's what it is. Okay, I was wondering.
Washington. But this guy got 12 targets out of nowhere from Mac Jones last week. Like, where was that from? I don't know. Put up 27. I guess you're happy if you accidentally drafted this guy in best ball, but that's all. I don't even know what the first name is.
Parker.
Oh, Parker. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. 12 targets last week for Parker Washington. We talked about Ricky Pearsall potentially having the best matchup out of any of the wide receivers on San Francisco. You know, it's been a minute.
Those numbers.
It's been a minute since he's had a good game, but like, you know, there was a 17 in there and an 11. So better than nothing.
That's bad.
Westbrook Akine gets a touchdown every week. Now it's a new thing with him. This guy's been a turd for 7 seasons, and all of a sudden he's good. That's weird. Going here, Bobby? No. Yeah. No one else is really popping at all. This is why you pay the cheap running backs, because you don't need these guys.
They're $2,500 cheaper than Garendo. Like, this is a punt. This is a punt play.
Yeah. But if you triple punt, it wasn't. Yeah. There was a time when Pearsall did help me win a tournament twice, actually, this year.
That's true.
2 different ones this season, which is crazy since he's only had the 2 good games. But hey, I'll take it. But yeah, I just think it's Elijah Moore. I know he's close to 5K, so it's not that much savings, but I just want to show you the volume for him. And this is Jammo. This is what he does. He throws it a lot. 14 targets for Moore last week. Now, you might say, well, he only had 5 targets the week before that Pittsburgh game, which was weird, considering you would think it would have been a better matchup for him that time. But actually, what the hell did Judy do in that game? Burns, can we find out who Porter Jr.
was fine. He did a modest game.
Yeah, he did okay. 6 for 6, though. He caught everything that went his way.
Okay, but that you don't get. There's not a point category for that.
I know, but it's not like he was getting rejected by Porter.
What week was it?
Week 12. Could you see who Porter Jr. was on for that previous matchup?
There's a lot of these, with the Browns guys. Oh, but Jameis. Well, he won the game though. But he scored 8 fantasy points. But he won the game.
Yeah,
pretty sure he was probably going to be on Tillman, but I'll verify.
I feel like I haven't done anything since that win, by the way. I'm not even these guys in the chat, they're like, Kevin hasn't won anything since that Pearsall. Yeah, I mean,
he was actually on Judy that game.
He was, and he still went 6. All right, so there you go. Yeah, tough one. All right, let's move on to the tight end position, gentlemen, where the monies are made, or where dreams come true. And the monies are made. And there are a lot of high-end tight ends that are sexy on this one. And I don't know how to choose between them. So I'm gonna call them out, and then you can figure out for me how to choose. So we have 4 absolute studs available on this slate. Brock Bowers, who is the super stud of them all. He is the ring of power. One to rule them all. Then Trey McBride smashed this matchup the last time it happened. Absolutely. 15 targets. I'll take it all day long. George Kittle in the best matchup of any of the San Francisco players. Of all of them, it's Kittle. And then Jonnu Smith has been the focal point of the Miami passing offense. I'm not even including the rest. It's just those 4. Even Njoku, who's coming off of like 18 targets last week, probably doesn't belong in that super stud conversation, although he's really awesome too. I'll actually include Njoku in that group. All the names of the 5. 5 stud tight ends at the top, all of which are just as good or better than many of the similarly priced wide receivers on this slate. So with that being said, Burns, which one is the best one, and why is it Brock Bowers?
I like Brock Bowers a lot this week, but for me, it's Trey McBride. I think McBride is in an awesome spot this week. The rapport that he has with Kyler Murray right now it's the best that it's been all year, and it's just going to keep getting better and better all season as we progress forward into the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, then by all means, which I don't think they will. But this is where Arizona is starting to, this is their identity. Their identity was last year was with Trey McBride. Their identity again this year is with Trey McBride now in the last 2 weeks. They moved the football with him. He's going to be heavily targeted again in this game. He's going to be his target share in the red zone is going up and up and up every week. So this guy, you got to have a lot of him in your lineups. He's a home favorite. I can go on and on and on, but his target share in the red zone is at 25% right now. His target share overall is at 24.27% on the year so far. And through the last 4 weeks of the season, he has almost 11 targets on average per game. So whereas like Brock Bowers is at 10 on average for the last 4 games. So these guys are equally good, right? I just like Trey McBride's red zone target share a little bit better. So I like Brock Bowers a lot. Don't get me wrong. This guy is awesome. He's a beast. It's the reason why they drafted him. Now they need a quarterback to get him the football. But yeah, I really do like McBride. I like Brock Bowers a lot. I like Njoku in this game too. But if you can't afford these guys in your lineups, I'm going right back to Cade Otton this week in the 4s. He's been really good for Tampa Bay.
Look at this matchup.
Yeah, it's
tight ends torching the Raiders. This it's been a thing with that team for many years.
Yeah, and you don't have to look very far to see how badly torched they've been in the last few weeks. I mean, Jonnu Smith, I think he was in the 3s, and he exploded for 31
that's
points.
Why they have that one game alone was enough to change their whole ranking on the season.
But they've just not been doing well of late against tight ends. So I like Cade Otton in this one. And then if I'm dipping into the 3K range where you can't actually, you can't get anywhere near these guys at all. The guy that I think is actually going to do damage against the Jacksonville Jaguars in this game is Chig Okonkwo.
Whoa.
Yeah. At 3K.
You can't see my screen. You can't see it. But you said I'm going down to in the 3K range.
You have to go to the 3K range.
I anticipated what you were going to say, and I put Grant Calcaterra on screen.
Yeah, that's good.
And now you made me look bad with the Chig Okonkwo statement as if the producer had no idea where you were going with it.
No, I don't get me wrong. Calcaterra could actually get a couple of targets, but he hasn't done anything this year.
No,
we've seen a Chig Okonkwo breakout game.
When was that? Last year? When was this breakout? Chig Okonkwo stinks.
It was like a touchdown that he caught. I think it's in that.
That was only one play. He got 14. It was one catch.
Yeah.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Hold up. I am disallowing
at 3K.
I will.
Nope. At 3K, I'll take it.
Where is it? No, wait. Give it to. I'm rejecting Chig Okonkwo. He stinks. And I feel like they have another tight end that pops up and gets the action on this team.
He's he's got over a 15% target share in the red zone.
I don't hate it, Burns.
Jacksonville is 26th ranked against against the tight end position in fantasy points against. They're 32nd in the league against tight ends and DVOA. Their defensive press is it's just marginal, middle of the pack. So Chigakonkwo, this is the reason why if I had to pair Will Levis with anybody, this is the guy. It's not IKH or whatever the hell his name
Westbrook Akine.
Yes. And it's not Calvin Ridley. This is the dude right here.
I think Jeffro Moregreen is more correct here.
If I take you back 1 week, Pat Freiermuth was my 3K guy, and everybody shit on the dude.
That was John Marchese who was pushing. Wasn't it John Marchese who was pushing Freiermuth here in the chat 2 weeks ago? He did
last week. If you reel it back, Pat Freiermuth was my 3K guy at 35.
You did say Freiermuth, and
he went off for just about 19 DraftKings points last week. Heavy value.
It did work out, and I shit all over it, and I'm shit on it again. Fuck Freiermuth too. That guy sucks. Sick of him. And
3K guys, 3 and 4K tight ends have been in more top 20 milli maker lineups than any other salary range.
Well, when you can nail the 3K guy and he's good, that does help.
I just did.
If I needed a 3K guy, it's Jawan Johnson. That's the guy.
Yes, he would be my pay down as well.
Not against the Giants.
The Giants are good versus tight end, but
Giants are second in the league in average fantasy points against the position. This is why
he's a wide receiver. Jawan Johnson's a wide receiver at this point.
Yeah, I mean they don't have any pass catchers on that team. There's a reason for it. Like they don't have anybody to throw it to. They were throwing it to Taysom Hill 10 times a game, and they don't normally throw it to him. But all of this is shit. We don't need 3K tight ends on this slate. We don't need this. We don't need, Kevin Austin Jr. wide receivers. And I'm not saying he's not going to have a good game, BobbyWow.
No, it's fine.
He could have a great game. Luckily, we have cheat code running backs that are negating the necessity for this crap in our lineups. As a matter of fact, what about Colt Kmet? I can even go there.
Yeah, he's on my list.
Yeah, I bet I can pay down with him. And I got another one for you. And these aren't even guys I love, but like Kyle Pitts, we like Kirk Cousins a little bit, right? Kyle Pitts, is he good? Pitts. He's almost Chigakonkwo level in his terribleness, but he's almost as bad. But like he could pop off too. Once in a while, he has a 25-pointer at least. Man, this guy he's everything we wanted. Brock Bowers is everything we thought this guy was going to be.
Guys, look, I don't know how you don't pay for the first top 5 guys. And honestly, talk about stuffing running backs in. I'll be stuffing tight ends into that flex position because 2 of those 5 studs you talked about, by the way, are cheaper than Isaac Guerrero, number 1, which is crazy. And George Kittle is a couple $100 more. He grew up a Bears fan. He's been a stud. Like the George Kittle and Jonnu Smith outscoring Isaac Guerrero and whoever the guy on the Jets name is. I mean, that's a stone cold lock. That's a stone cold lock. Or Sharps, like that to me, it's crazy to even think that wouldn't happen. Those are so much better plays.
You know what's wild on this slate?
Because these guys are going to score you 12, 13 points. These running backs.
I want to play 2 tight ends and 3 running backs. How the hell do we achieve that? Can I would like to.
Or you going to cash in $25K and the salary you have left over at the end? Like what's going on?
I want to play 3 running backs. I want 2 tight ends. None of the cheap ones either. I'm talking about give me Bowers and McBride, or Bowers and Jonnu, or Njoku. Give me 2 of these guys. But it'll only be 1. It will be double. The running back is going in the flex.
Yeah, no, tight end for me, I think primarily. Upside. Again, I'm just talking upside tournaments. It just feels like the upside for these tight ends and wide receivers in the same price range is so much higher than Isaac Guerrero and, Braylon Allen.
It's interesting. All right. Prop-based projection, significantly better. I mean, it's not even close. So check this out. If you needed to choose between Bowers and McBride, and you're saying, hey, I like both of these guys, right? What can we do? The prop for Bowers is massively better. Like he's a full 1.5 points above McBride. So if we need a tiebreaker, that's what it is. The answer this week is play Brock Bowers. That's it. Play Brock Bowers. You know what? I'm going to erase the rest of my fucking sheet. I'm just going to leave Brock Bowers on there. I'm thinking about doing it. Just have no other tight ends, and it's just Brock.
I'm going to uncheck everyone but the top 4, and I will have 50% ownership to all 4 of those guys.
That's bananas.
I mean, I will. I don't see any other way around it here. It's just wild to me.
That is a strong statement from BobbyWow. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Listen, I can see Jonnu Smith failing. And, Njoku is not always good. By the way, what's up with Njoku dropping?
Njoku's not even in my player pool.
Which one?
It's Brock, McBride, Kittle, and Smith. Those are the 4 guys.
No, just those 4. No Njoku. Okay, because I was going to say, Njoku, what's up with him dropping passes all the time? So sick of it.
Cade Otton, too. Cade Otton has done nothing. Like he's had 3 good weeks, and he's reverted to his Cade Otton self.
Cade Otton week. It's such a good match.
And last week wasn't against the Panthers?
It should have been also. It should have been. He dropped the pass. He would have had a touchdown. He dropped it. He dropped the touchdown.
A lot of qualifiers here.
Fucking, that's why these guys are tight ends, not wide receivers. Got the fucking ham hands. Got hands made out of freaking like what do you call it? Sausage links for fingers.
Cade Otton dropping the touchdown is exactly why he's 4,400 and George Kittle's 5,800.
You're paying the right price.
Drop touchdowns.
You're paying touchdowns. The price is right. And Hawkinson.
Price is right.
Add in, give me the 4 that you mentioned: Njoku, Hawkinson, and Cade Otton, and I'm good. Yeah. What would BobbyWow do? Play double tight end this week. I'm going to put that on the shirt. By the way, we do have a swag store. Somebody was asking about it. We do have a swag store now. It's got all kinds of cool shit in there. What's the link? I don't know. I don't have it, but I'm assuming it's in the description of this video.
I have a turd hat bet when you're done.
Oh, wait. What are we turd hat betting? Okay, wait a second. Bring it up. Bring it.
The turd hat bet is that 2 of the 4 tight ends we discussed outscore all 3 running backs, all cheapies.
Oh, yeah. I like this, BobbyWow, and it's fair. Okay. Because some of them
top
are
4 tight ends.
Yeah.
I know, but then you get the 3rd running back, right? You get the 3rd option.
I do get the 3rd. And you do have, can we pull Brock Bowers for that? Because he's definitely outscoring those guys.
I guess we could pull Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
I guess.
Let's do 2 for 2, but not include Brock Bowers. Is that a fair call?
McBride, Kittle, and Smith, 2 of them outscore the top 3 running backs. It's really not fair for me, but yeah.
Okay. 2 of them outscore the top
all 3 running backs. All 3 of the cheapy running backs you talked about.
Okay.
Correndo, Sharps.
Both of them. I don't even know how to do this as a bet. What if one outscores a bunch of them, the other one doesn't outscore a few? Think for a second on how to turn that into a fair bet, but I am interested in that wager.
How about this? Of those 3 tight ends, the top score will come from a tight end between those running backs and tight ends. The 3 we're talking about.
Let's go. I'm in. We took Bowers out of the mix. So the highest scorer
will come from a tight end.
You have 3 tight ends. I have 3 running backs.
Yes.
You're saying the highest score will come from one of those tight ends.
Yes.
Okay. I like it. All right. I'm in. Turd hat bet for next week. All right. Let's move on to defenses for
probably all of them. But
NFL week 14. Scroll out. Projected ownership. Sort. And we get a Saints bonanza. Whew. Underpriced Saints on DraftKings against Drew Lock, who didn't look good that great last week. Bears defense, okay. On the road, right? Steelers, yeah, but expensive, I'm sure. 3,500, not that much. Steelers are a lock button for a pick 6 in this game. And then Titans against the Jaguars. I like that one. So I get it. Burns, how are these defenses setting up for you this week? And do you agree with the chalk?
Give me a second.
I mean, the chalkiest is Saints. And then And then Bears, Steelers, Titans, that's sort of the high owned group. Falcons in there. I don't get that one. But
yeah, not liking the Bears this week. Not at all. I just don't think they're going to get it done. Brock Purdy's actually he doesn't throw many picks, so not really on him or not on them. Steelers, yes. Titans, yes. Falcons, no. Carolina, no. San Francisco, yes. Cardinals, oh yeah, definitely. Saints,
Cardinals, oh yeah, definitely. Tell me more. You're excited to play the Cardinals.
oh yeah, they're in a really good spot.
Okay.
They actually put up double-digit fantasy points the last time in this contest 2 weeks ago. So
Okay.
yeah, going right back to it. Titans, I already talked about them. Saints are going to be extremely high owned, and I'm not big on high owned defenses, but they're in a good spot. Giants they've been terrible. And I'd say probably that should get it done right there. I mean, those are really good defenses that are on this slate. And don't forget about Philly. I mean, it's Bryce Young.
Yeah, the only negative to Philly is just how much they cost, but hell yeah, Philly. Even Jaguars are playable, by the way. If I had to get like a little weird, fuck Levis and his chalk. Play the horrible Jaguars defense. They're still an NFL football team.
And they looked like an NFL football team against Houston.
Yeah, they didn't look bad. So
for the most part.
Yeah, give me some Jaguars as well in that one. I don't think Bobby, you got any defense we didn't mention that you love here?
No, I think the only reason the Bears are in play is their price.
Yeah, I don't the Bears. I'm not playing that. I'm not playing the Bears. Just because their opponent doesn't give up points to defenses. There's no point in that on the road. But yeah, they're cheap. I think it makes sense. The Titans at 2,800. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Saints against the Giants. If Drew Lock looks like he did last week, they're gonna sack the shit out of him. So probably turn it over. Cutlets will come in and just be even worse. That could always happen. I'm gonna uncheck one little. All I'll give is my little pro tip for defenses. When you see ones that aren't gonna do well and they show up here because it's 2,200, just uncheck them. You got to unfriend these ones that you're just not gonna use. You got to just uncheck them when you're running the optimizer and get them out of there, because the optimizer just wants to jam in a 2K defense. They all project for 5, for 6. And so they project too close together for the opto. You should not allow the optimizer to drive your defense choices. You need to unfriend the ones that you believe are completely worthless first and foremost. Just yes. That's all I'm saying. That's just like when you're running lineups, it's just something that I've noticed. Their projections are all so close together that it's just going to favor a cheaper one. All right. Thank you for everybody for hanging out with us and, getting our tournaments, getting ready for tournaments for NFL Week 14. Burns and BobbyWow, always great to chat. We'd appreciate your likes, your subscribes, your notifications. And of course, we want everybody to give DFS Army a try. Our members, the difference between DFS Army and other sites that you see all the time. If you follow us on Twitter, if you are in this chat and you ask the people who are watching, what's the difference? Our members are winning. Now, they're not always going to win. Not everybody's winning, but our members win. You look at tournaments, what do you see? Army helmets at the top of the tournaments. And it's not Kevin and BobbyWow and Burns. It's our regular subscribers as well, our members using these tools that we've created in a collective.
I know we're going long. Can I just say one quick thing along those lines? We threw out a challenge on our last podcast. We said, hey, if you're trying to get an MME, max the nickel contest on FanDuel. This is the contest to do it. I don't know if you saw it yet, but we had a member post. They said, I took your advice and I took down the nickel contest.
I did see it. And I was going to.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it was. That's exactly that. That was so for the showdown. Yeah.
Last night.
Yeah. Just last night. We talked about it on tournament tactics or on the showdown breakdown. And we said, hey, there are nickel games. And that's another thing. If you want to enjoy having fun and you can mass multi-enter, you want to practice, you want to learn it. Learn on an optimizer, right? Learn on the FanDuel nickel game or the FanDuel quarter game where you don't have to put up a lot of money. You know, I'll be listening to this, by the way, right after the show, because that song is going through my head this entire time. All that song, up to wah wah wah, we're jamming. It makes me feel like I'm in high school again. I used to smoke cigarettes to Bob Marley before I knew about, the real deal. I was 14 smoking cigarettes to Marley. Can you see me, BobbyWow, behind the wall at the school, like at the smoking wall with all the dirtbag kids smoking cigarettes every day? That's what I was doing in high school.
They're not dirtbags, but yeah, I could see.
We were. No. We were like the dirtbag crew. Yeah, like the jocks. Because Burns knows. Burns is laughing because he was one of the jocks that was pointing at me in my leather jacket, like, look at those dirtbags smoking cigarette over there. That's what I was doing.
Yeah. And
in
then
the
I got
90s,
into college and I was huffing too. So
were you okay? Yeah, actually, the jock kids were way worse. They were just as bad or worse.
Look at this.
But it was like more secret. No
one year from now, I'll be smoking cigarettes in the villages.
You don't make it to the villages. You don't make it to the villages if you've been smoking your whole life. That's why you had to give that shit up. But I will tell you guys right now this. I'm just going to share this personal fact. I miss smoking cigarettes like all the time. I love smoking cigarettes. Like I haven't smoked cigarettes in about 15 years since my oldest daughter was born. Wait, my youngest daughter. So it's about 16 years. But I love smoking cigarettes and I miss it. Even now I could pick it back up and I'll just be right back in there. That's the pull of cigarette smoking. I pick it up now and I'd be right back into it in like a day or two. Just like, oh. And it's not the cigarette itself, but it was the requirement to go outside and just like be alone with your thoughts for 10 minutes while you have the smoke. It's like the smoke break that I enjoyed more than the cigarettes. But I'm going to tell you another thing. I don't know why I'm sharing all of this. That cell phones ruined the smoke break. It ruined it. iPhones or whatever, these kind of phones, because it used to be that you'd be outside with your thoughts and you'd have like 15 minutes of just almost like meditation. Now I never get 15 minutes of meditation. There's always some stimulation happening and I miss it. And I can't recreate it. There's no way to force recreate the joy of 10 minutes of cigarette meditation. Because now I'd be outside like on my phone while I was doing it. So it'd ruin the experience anyway. My best ideas came during my smoking breaks. I feel like having a cigarette right now. All right. That being said, where can I get one?
Oh,
Jesus.
You just talked yourself back into smoking.
Oh, man, did I enjoy it. I miss those cigarettes so much. All right, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Like I said, we'll see you in the chat. We'll see you in the Discord. We want you to sign up at DFS Army, promo code Geek, 10% off any plan that we have. Burns, Bobby, myself, we're all in there with the rest of the crew. Yeah, really, this just happened in real time. Sharing your life with everyone.
It's going to be a case study.
Yes. I'll see everybody. DFS Army members, I'll see you guys tomorrow during the Players Club, 1:00 Saturday. Every Saturday, we'll build lineups together. It's going to be a lot of cheap running backs this week. Core 3. Let's go. Good luck this week, everybody.